Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another review of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains episode 85. So, I really did not see that episode playing out the way that it did. I was very confident that Awie's Eyes and Blue Maiden was going to get the win, which she did against Haru, but I did not think... I'm just surprised. I think Haru might have actually been the most disrespected character that we have seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains thus far. I mean, geez, that episode did a great job of developing him. The only problem is they spend one episode developing him, and then they kill him off in the same episode. So we're going to get into all of that. Generally speaking, and of course I do want to hear from you guys as well. Generally speaking, I enjoyed the episode. I don't know. I feel like the episode wasn't as enjoyable as I was hoping it would be, and I think that the reasoning for that is they really went out of their way to make this seem like it was not a good win for Blue Maiden, which in my opinion it was. In my opinion, any win for her was good at this point. A win is a win in dueling, and she's defeating someone that's on the Evil Ignis team, albeit it's a character that, to this point, has probably said 20 total lines in 38 episodes, because he debuted in, I believe, episode 47. We're in episode 85, so in almost 40 episodes, he had barely spoken to this point, and the writers did everything they could to make it seem like, oh, defeating him is nothing. At the very beginning of this episode, Playmaker says we have three enemies, Lightning, Windy, Bowman. Playmaker well knows that Haru exists and is in this area with them, but doesn't even mention his name. Lightning, when he dueled Blood Shepherd, said, I have two allies, Bowman and Lightning. Doesn't even mention Haru. Bowman then says to Haru, when we see a little bit of interaction, which was really good of this episode did that really well, the interaction between Bowman and Haru, and just the whole brother complex between Haru and Bowman. I thought the episode did that really well. We see Bowman say to his brother, you don't have the skill set to match them, don't duel them. So, already right there, we know that Haru is overmatched. And then Lightning, freaking Lightning Man, says, yeah, go duel Blue Maiden, we need more time before Bowman synchronizes with Mirror Link VRains. And Haru goes, do you think I can beat him? Just lie to the kid. Just lie to the poor kid and say, I think if you use your cards right and your strategies right, you'll be able to defeat him. Just lie to the poor kid. The amount of abuse this guy has been through, the amount of heartbreak this guy has been through, and instead what does Lightning say? Oh, you don't have to win, just buy time. Basically saying, yeah, you have no chance to win, I'm just using you as a decoy. I don't value your life at all. You're gonna duel, you're gonna die, and that'll be it, but you'll buy time for Bowman, and that's all that matters. That's basically Lightning translated what he meant there. Just lie to the poor guy. I mean, really, the disrespect that Haru was showing, not only in this episode, but really in flashbacks through Lightning. Lightning created him to be a brother only to keep Bowman's mental stability in check, and then when his emotional stability was stabilized through another experiment, Lightning said, now you're his servant. Don't even worry about being his brother. Brothership is just a concept, or I forget the exact terminology that they used. But why not just, it's because, and that's the one thing that I think VRains has touched on really well. Even as artificial intelligence continues to grow and expand in our world, in the real world, the one thing that they're not great on is emotional intelligence. That's the one thing that artificial intelligence will probably always lack to a certain degree, the emotional aspect of humans and of life, and Lightning completely lacks that facet. We've seen that with Eye and Flame, that they kind of have a certain hint of emotional awareness, but Lightning seems to have none of it. And the smart thing to do in this case would have just been to say, yeah, Bowman and Haru, you're still brothers, because what harm does it do to the kid? It does no harm to him. Bowman still considered him a brother, so it wouldn't have done any... Bowman wouldn't have thought twice about it. So Lightning, really the MVP a-hole in this episode, and in flashbacks we see the amount of abuse Haru takes. And I just felt like they've been not building Haru up, but weakening him to the point where when we finally saw him, we knew that, oh yeah, Blue Maiden's gonna win. And the writers want us to believe that it's not really an impressive win because of how they built it up. One of my patrons, Jesse Wood, I say his name at the end of pretty much all my recent videos, really nice guy, he said something really interesting to me, and he said, this was before the summary came out, he said that Blue Maiden should duel Windy and defeat Windy, and I think if she defeated Windy, that would have probably been a better route for them to go. I'm still of the belief that this was a good win for her. It was an important win, and a win is a win. So I'm not trying to take anything away from Blue Maiden. She 100% needed this win. She hadn't won in almost 60 episodes. She needed a win. I don't care if it was against Bit and Boot, which she did defeat Bit and Boot off screen. She just needed a win. And going to Blue Maiden for a sec, she changed her deck. She now uses like a mermaid Marincess. Sorry, I had to look it up for a second. So Marincess is the new deck that she uses. It's a water deck. She has Aqua, the water Ignis. It makes sense from that regard. The other regard that it makes sense from, or it would have made more sense from if it was kind of expanded on, is her last 2 duels that she used Tricksters for, she lost. She lost to Spectre and died, and then she lost to Soulburner. So if there was a little bit of dialogue when she acquired Aqua, where she said, I don't really feel comfortable with Trickstars anymore. I want to upgrade just like I've upgraded my avatar, and I've kind of stepped out of Blue Girl's shadow, even though Blue Girl didn't really do too much. I want to upgrade my deck with the avatar upgrade. And then Aqua said, okay, I'll give you these cards. You can try to use this deck. I think this deck fits you well. We already know that Playmaker's Ignis added the Cyber's Ritual to his deck, most likely. I mean, the dialogue was a little ambiguous, but I'm pretty sure we can infer that he added that card. Remember, in the very beginning of Season 2, Playmaker looks at his deck and says, oh, you added some upgrades. So the Ignis are capable of adding cards and probably adding whole new decks. So if there was a little dialogue like that before this duel started, I think it would have made a lot of sense. And it does make a lot of sense from the perspective that she wasn't getting any wins with her Trickstars. She had defeated Vyra, she had defeated a Prototype B, but she lost to Playmaker, lost to Spectre and died, and then lost to Soulburner. So her changing her deck from that perspective makes sense. From the perspective of efficiency, it makes no sense at all. I mean, Trickstars are a top-tier deck, as we all know. I'm not sure how Marincess is going to be, but, I don't really have an issue with it. The monsters, in ways, kind of resembled Trickstar monsters. They looked a little more human-like than the Trickstars did. Yeah, so Aoi Zeizen, Blue Maiden, brand new deck, and a brand new skill as well, Shape of Sea, which lets her special summon a monster based on how many life points of damage she took in terms of attack points, which is probably the worst way to describe that skill. But Blue Maiden, I'm not going to talk about the duel too much. Haru uses Hydra Drive, which was originally his deck. I know I almost got on here and said, oh, he used the same deck as Bowman uses. Really, it's the other way around. Bowman uses the same deck as he does. It was kind of a letdown, though. I was hoping for a new deck, a new archetype, but yeah, we didn't get it. Going to the end of this duel, obviously Blue Maiden wins, and she did kind of get through to Haru. Haru, I liked the development that we saw for Blue Maiden in this episode, because Haru says to her, oh, you and your brother aren't even siblings, you're not even blood related, you guys are frauds. Earlier in the show, earlier in Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains, if Playmaker said that to her during the first duel Blue Angel was in way back in episode 6, that would have really affected her. That would have really bothered her. We knew that she felt very inferior to her brother, and she probably felt like she wasn't even her brother's sister. And so to see her confidently respond with, it doesn't matter if we're blood or not, our memories, our bonds, our hearts, we're basically brother and sister. The strength that we created is greater than blood. Greater than a blood connection. And the fact that she was able to say that so confidently and elegantly really shows how far she has come since the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh! VRains. So I liked that a lot. And her words did get through to Haru at the very end, which I was hoping they did. Haru realizes that he is Bowman's brother, that he cares about Bowman as if he was his own brother, and we see that Bowman cares about him as if Haru was his brother as well. So Blue Maiden did reach Haru in that sense, which was nice. Unfortunately, right when he realizes it, he's already lost the duel and he dies. To kill him off in this episode, I thought was I really thought, now I'm going to get onto Haru's character and why I felt he was very disrespected. I always thought, and I think a lot of people thought, that there was always more to him. One of my favorite theories regarding him was that he was Wendy's lost incident child, but the data of Wendy's lost incident child was uploaded to him. I thought that would have been maybe a cool theory and a cool plot twist. I thought maybe he would be the reason that there's a turn for Bowman against Lightning, which, by the way, that might still happen. Bowman says, Haru, you will not be forgotten, and he's crying at the very end of this episode. He knows that Lightning sent Haru into basically a suicide mission, and I wonder if that will cause him to turn on Lightning at some point in this arc, because he knows that Lightning is pretty much responsible for getting his character that he considered his younger brother killed. So that is really interesting. Haru still might have a major effect on this plot going forward through Bowman. But Haru is a character that was advertised to us before Season 2 even started. I think that's the craziest thing. They advertised him to us before we even knew who Blood Shepherd was. And looking at Season 2 as a whole, Blood Shepherd had a way bigger impact on the show thus far than Haru did. So why not give us Blood Shepherd? Like, if you didn't advertise Haru at the beginning of Season 2, I would have just thought, yeah, he's a character that's interesting, but there's probably not much more to him. And maybe that means there were more plans for Haru as a character that they scrapped. It's hard to predict what characters are going to do what down the road. So maybe they thought Haru was going to have a bigger role, and they didn't think Blood Shepherd would have as big of an impact as he did. And then when they started writing, they were like, let's focus a little more on Blood Shepherd than on Haru. But this is also the Shin Yoshida special. Give characters development for 1 or 2 episodes, and then kill them off. We saw it with Blood Shepherd about 5-6 episodes ago, where he dueled Emma. We had some nice backstory with that family, and then he gets killed off when he duels Lightning. And now we see it with Haru. Finally, development for him. Finally, focus on him, and then they kill him off. It is really the Shin Yoshida special. He reminds me, I don't know if you guys are going to remember this character from Arc 5, Yu Sakuragi. He was a character that won the Junior Youth Division tournament, and he was the leader of the Lancers in the Standard when Obelisk Force attacked before they went to Synchro. And for some reason, this character, I thought, was going to have such a big impact on the show. I don't know why. Maybe it's because his name was Yu, like all the Yu boys are spelt, and he had seemingly a lot of skill and a lot of ability. They go to Synchro, he's never heard from again. But I'm using him as an example of a character that I was disappointed never did a little more. And so I understand the Haru fans being very aggravated in an episode like this and at how his character was written. Personally, Haru never really connected for me. I thought he was going to have a bigger impact, don't get me wrong, but I'm not really that upset that he's dead and gone. I wish he was treated a little better, obviously, and the episode as a whole, from his perspective, was very saddening. But I understand that if you are a big Haru fan, why this episode would probably rub you the wrong way. But the truth is, with a show like Yu-Gi-Oh!, and really with any show, there are always characters that are meant to be jobbers. I don't know if you guys have ever watched, like, WWE. I watched years ago, a long time ago, but a term in wrestling is a jobber. And what that means, the results of who's going to win the match are usually decided, obviously, before the match begins in WWE. A jobber is a character a character or a wrestler that is always there to just put characters and other wrestlers over, to make them look better. They're never going to win the title. They're never going to have the spotlight. Their only job is to make other characters look better, and that's what happened in this episode. Haru was always a jobber. He was a jobber for Bowman, and he was a jobber for Blue Maiden. He gave Aoi a win, and he gave Bowman some more development and some more now complexity going forward. It's a shame, but there are some characters that are just, that's all they're good for. And, we saw the potential there. There was a lot they could have done with his character, so it is definitely disappointing from that regard. But guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up. I really think I've said everything I need to, and I really do want to hear from you guys on what was it was an interesting episode. I enjoyed it, but I definitely did not enjoy it as much as I was hoping I would. And yeah, let me know all your thoughts down below. A special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons Lexa Baker, Glen McGookin, Jorge Carrillo, James Rose, and Omni Lord, and to my Diamond tier patrons Bouldergeist and Jesse Wood, and to my Egyptian God tier patron Syn Cloud. Thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And thank you to everyone who just watches these videos, because without you guys, I would not be able to do this. I will talk to you down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.